Hello everyone and welcome to my Google slide on Drive Rush. Now, Drive Rush is currently a fairly contentious mechanic, so I figured I'd give my 2 cents on the whole situation. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So let's first start with why you would want to use Drive Rush. Well, for one, it is a fast forward dash that increases frame advantage and gives you increased juggle potential on your moves. Juggle potential, for those of you that don't play Street Fighter, is essentially a mechanic that just allows a certain move to hit an opponent while airborne. High juggle potential is usually given to special moves, however, there are certain exceptions, such as Rashid's forward medium punch. You get this all for the low price of one whole bar of drive gauge, which, in comparison to your other options, is really not that bad at all. The increased frame advantage and juggle potential completely changes what combos you are able to do as well. And just to reiterate, this only costs a bar of drive gauge when you have 6, and you have full bar at the start of each and every round. It's kind of ridiculous, if I'm being honest. So why do people hate Drive Rush? Well, if you have a solid understanding of fighting games, the list of pros should be enough to tell you. However, it is extremely hard to stop someone from just doing it over and over in neutral unless you are a absolute demon at checking it. The screen freeze as well is also very annoying when you're trying to do certain things like parry, and sometimes the input can get eaten by it. It makes pretty much every single move in the game safe due to the 4 frames of advantage that you get on block or on hit. This means that the longest range normals a character can have will not only reach extremely far due to the forward dash, but also if you somehow manage to make it so that you're point blank, you'll also be safe and might just have to eat a strike throw mix-up. All this put together makes it a quite low risk, high reward option. Again, it only costs a single bar for all of these things, and you could do it at any point in time. Street Fighter 6 is a very mentally taxing game, and this just adds to that. And lastly, not all drive rushes are made equal. For example, DJ's drive rush is extremely fast and extremely annoying to deal with, as opposed to Manon, whose is very slow and honestly very easy to check in comparison. So let's list some potential changes to Drive Rush to make it easier to deal with, since, if I'm being honest, it probably will be toned down in some way in Season 2 of the game. This is one I see thrown around quite often, which is to give Drive Rush the Punish Counter state. It currently has Counter Hit state, which isn't nearly as good as Punish Counter, and would still balance it to a degree which I think is personally fair. I understand why it currently has counter hit state, because you're technically hitting someone out of an action instead of hitting someone out of their recovery frames, but I still think that you could make it work. Another thing you could do is to give it less frame advantage. Now, I'm not saying, completely gut the frame advantage that you get from Drive Rush, but maybe it can't go above a certain threshold. Luke's crouching medium punch with Drive Rush is for some reason +5, and I don't know why Capcom likes to do this to us. So it would be an indirect Luke nerf, and hopefully just tune Drive Rush back in general. And for the last potential change, we could just add force scaling to Drive Rush combos. In the current version of the game, neutral, Drive Rush button into button both deal unscaled damage. This is in part why damage is so high in the game, due to how common it is to use Drive Rush as your initiation tool. Doing a Drive Rush mid-combo already does some level of forced scaling, so I feel like this could be fairly easy to implement. Maybe reducing the damage to around 80%, 90%, somewhere around that line, that just isn't full damage, might make it easier to deal with. It won't change how fast Drive Rush is, or how belligerent it would be on block, but it would at least reduce some of the reward that the aggressor gets. To review, people hate seeing green due to Drive Rush being hard to check for so little reward. However, it also makes the game faster paced, which is more exciting for spectators. And if you have any ideas for potential changes in Season 2, or just general things you want to see done to Drive Rush, please leave it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.